First of all, all of us, we are now living in a very strange time of the world. But I'm really happy that we can be here all together and discuss about the important issue in the world, which is about the women and their presence in cinema and what we can do all together in this strange time. Uh, I don't want. I just wanted to start my article, which is about, as my friend told you is we tell the truth through cinema, women of Iranian cinema. Throughout the Iran's history, Iranian women have been at the core of any social and changes and challenges despite all the limitations imposed on them. In Iran, as a developing country, women are in the minority, which means not only in art and culture, but also in politics and economy. Women don't possess significant roles, and these are the men who will decide about important issues in the society. Despite of having so many limitations, history tells us women are more conscious about what is going in their country. These women look at the future deeply and are interested in showing their concern with details. They would like to keep and present their culture through art. This vision led to many great achievements for Iranian cinema, which most of them have been made by women. Around 180 feature films are made in Iranian cinema each year, and about 32 films are made by women. But among documentary films, about 40 films are directed and produced by women from 110. The number is considered an achievement and is significant in some ways as a result of the cultural resistance of Iranian society against the dominant particular forces that have always looked with suspicion at cinema general and women in film in particular. In addition of making and acting in films, they were active in lots of international events like Leila Hatami, who was a jury member in Cannes Film Festival. Historically, Iran's cinema can be divided into two pre-revolution and post-revolution era. Tracing changes in the representation of women in Iranian cinema is like examining the journey of a woman into self-realization. The journey is divided into four stages, from the faceless, ultra good women in pre-revolution's film to the even more one-dimensional, almost wholly women in the cinema of the 1980s to women who make mistakes and are subjected to hardship the same way that men are, and women who are striving for independence and freedom from the 1990s onward. This development can be summarized as the journey of a woman who is silenced by society or by what society indicates and become a woman with agency and a voice. The development in these four stages indicates the evolution of women's status and their living conditions in the past 60 years. The struggle of women is demonstrated in the selected Iranian films from that period. I mean that before revolution and after revolution. Women's lives have often been dealt with in Iranian films. At times, this alternative reality despises a more passive character, and at other time, a more active one. I think the change in the representation of women in cinema started in the late 1980s with the entrance of female filmmakers in the features film industry. At stage one of the four stages mentioned above related to films made before the revolution and those made in the first decades after it. In those films, the good women character is pure, chaste, and untouched. She is defined by her relation to and protection of a man, be it a father, husband, or son. After the period of the late 1980s and early 1990s, women entered the stage of awareness. In real life, women had lent a big hand to the revolution and have been struggling to keep their new social status ever since. The environment of the late 1980s was finally receptive to this shift, and the first female directors started making feature films soon after, focusing their lens more directly on female subjects. In the next stage, women achieved as a result of a difficult situation, for example, war or economic hardship. Not only were women no longer just passive supporters of their men, but they had also become forces of life themselves alongside their men or in their absence, because the men were at war or simply because they were unable to support their families on their own. Women's role became more significant and were just as instrumental in shaping the family's future. Finally, this journey into realization reaches its ultimate goal. Women asking for more agency, women who put everything on their line when their families are in need, found that after the hardship had ended, they were not rewarded with the positions they deserved and started to question particular values. As a result, women became rebels. They are seen to have achieved so many confidence that not only do they no longer need the presence of a man to define them, but they have become strong enough not to be afraid to break free and assume independent lives. I should mention that after the Iranian big revolution, women were under the main focus of the government, especially the artist women. But around 1995 to 2003, the Iranian actresses has a great role for the top sales film in cinema, such as Adam Barfi, Shokaral, and also more artistic film, which had a great success in the international film festivals, such as The Girl in the Sneakers, directed by Rasool Sadrameli, About Eli, directed by Asghar Farhadi, and before that, Kiarostami's film. So gradually, they would prove their presence as the most professional artists in cinema in both sides of the camera. They became active not only as an actress, but also as a director and producers. We can mention Rakhshan Bani Etemad, who is one of the Iranian women directors who directed many successful films like Under the Skin of the City, The Blue Whale, and as well as The Gilane, and etc. During the last 2 decades, there are a considerable number of film school graduates in Iran, among whom are a remarkable number of women making their first film. Growing presence of women in Iranian cinema is another paradox. In the last 2 decades, there has been a higher percentage of women directors in Iran than in most countries in the West. The presence of women in the film industry as filmmakers and producers has encouraged many Iranian women, whatever their social status, to live their destiny in their own hands and fight for their rights, either through film or in some other artistic activity. Pouran Darakhshande was the first woman directed after 1979 revolution. She made several documentaries before the revolution too. Her first fiction film was in 1986, The Relationship, Ribet. Darakhshande is her first film shows an unknown world in Iranian cinema. The director tries to find a solution for the communication problem of disabled children in families and society. In 2013, she directed her film Hush Girl, Don't Scream. دخترها فریاد نمیزنند in Persian language. This film, which has been the focus of critical attention, is a clear example of female representation that speaks of harassment and sexual abuse of girls. Analyzing Iranian films shows that women are seeking to show the reality of their country, so they are more curious about the details. They look at every issue and problematic points more deeply. For them, cinema is the window which is open to the brightness and hope in their country. They are trying to avert the society by making the problems visible and find solution by deepen people's view towards those problems. Of course, there are lots of obstacles on their way to reach their goal, but they are doing well, wishing they could do whatever they want, as men do, which is a little bit difficult, but can happen. So women artists, besides of having the rules of being a mother, sister, and wife, put too much effort in their works to show this attempt of the generation and the conflict which they have sometimes with family, society, and the government. Not only in Iran as a developing country, but also in Lebanon, you can see the best film which have been made recently is a 2000 Lebanese drama film directed by Nadia Lebaki and Kafarnahum, and produced by Khaled Muzanar. The screenplay was written by Lebaki, and from a story by Lebaki and her colleagues, you can see how she is trying to be more focused on the social and the social issues. The film stars Syrian refugees child. You may see the film. I don't want to maybe explain the story. So in recent years, there have been many changes in the life of Iranian youth, especially among women. This young generation is rewriting and redefining the notions and definitions of gender and sexuality in Iran. If we focus on the films which have been made by the women during the last years, we will find out this generation gap and how the women directors at their points of view in these huge modifications. Over the past 3 decades of all paradox in Iranian society, none is more complex than the issue of gender and its representations. A range of languages and semantic representations are involved in cinema to reflect the encounter of the Iranian population with modernity. As a general rule, female representation becomes an effective instrument for the Islamic Republic to generate a process of reproduction of a new national culture. Every social and cultural transformation with Iranian society, especially with regard to women, has inspired the cinema. In recent years, the new generation of Iranian women is negotiating the notions of femininity, sexuality, and modernity with the core of power in Iranian society. Alongside this negotiation, Iranian cinema has recently exposed a huge achievement for representation of women on the big screen. This we can say it's derived from a gender consciousness that is transgressing the boundaries of segregations and inequality. So women filmmakers are entering the realm of representations to make the screen stories seen and starred by women themselves. Iranian society, like many other societies, is still struggling for gender equality. So visual representation of gender and sexuality, of which cinema occupies an important space, appear to be important steps forwards. It's not surprising that Iranian cinema, like any other cultural product, is related to politicians. A range of expressions and a variety of representations have been reflected in film as the image of the Iranian population's encounters with modernity. The remarkable fact of this new cinema is the participations of women in the international cinema. Women are joining the film industry, both directing films and playing different stage roles. Not only new actresses appear, but also new directors, producers, technicians, and specialists from different phases of the industry. The films directed by women deal with themes that aim to show a daily and critical reality that clashes with the post-revolutionary national imaginary. Women of Iranian cinema are generating strong positive and negative and national and international success. As a young Iranian producer, I would like to mention that these are women who cannot close their eyes to the real issue of their country. Do you know why? Because before having or accepting any job, they always should try to prove themselves because they have touched these types of the struggles. I'm working with some of the talented and young women directors, and I'm pleased to mention that the main award of this year IDFA Film Festival, IDFA 2020, which is the most important documentary film festival in the world, Best Film Award was for a film. The title is Radiograph of a Family, directed by Firuze Khosravani, which is a good example for what we said here. In this film, beside Khosravani's commentary, we hear letter being read and recollections of conversations between her parents. At the same time, we see photographs and videos from the family archives. These fragments of intimacy are interspread and indicate with shots of filmmakers' parents' home. Its alternating decor and furnishing subtly reflecting each new phase in her parents' conflict life and in Iranian society. You can see the details of different type of families before and after revolution. Considering the new documentary and feature filmmakers, it obviously shows how women are trying their best in cinema to find their personal voices. I do believe the future of cinema is in the hands of the new generation of women will have an effective role in the cinema. Hope we can make the world a better place to live by cinema. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so
I cannot hear you. What is the problem? Okay, I can hear right now.
Yeah, our discussants can start the discussion. So should I call Shamim Akhtar to say a few words about this, or we should go to the others first? Okay, we can start with the others first. Farah Kabir, would you like to say a few things about this paper?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you to the organizers for inviting me. And a big kudos to Elahe and all the Iranian women filmmakers, directors, producers, and actors. I think, you know, you have taken that space, which was prominently male dominated, and you are bringing in the perspective from your paper, your presentation. I understand you're giving the women's perspective through cinema, and also creating a space for women's voice and participation. This is amazing because perceptions and practices, especially harmful practices, are very difficult to change. Whereas cinema, which is such a visual medium, which has this power of influencing us, of you know, when we see the vision, when we see movement, we hear the sound, the story, it has an influencing power. And the more women can bring out the real stories, the actual, you know, the talk about how women is contributing to the society, what are their major innovations, interventions, I think it will gradually change the perspectives. It's going to take time, and but that should not be an hindrance, because even in South Asia or Bangladesh, we are hearing more about women and their lives, their perspective, not about women and their life from a male perspective, because, you know, male men or patriarchy has its own story to tell. And it is not necessarily the story that reflects the situation of the women. And of course, we can describe the inequalities and the issues of equity. But I think in recent years, listening from you that the younger generation are stepping in, we also find that that's happening in South Asia. And interestingly, in South Asia, I was watching a number of films, and now that we are in lockdown, we have to stay home. So you take a break and you go to Netflix or you watch drama, and the typical woman role is still there, and it's not been totally removed. The storylines still have the beautiful woman all sacrificing and almost a doormat. But you also get the other side of it, and especially how they're making their voices heard. And in the recent storylines, the issues that were never discussed are surfacing. Like there was a film which was a Bollywood film called Thappad, which means slap. And the whole movie is around this, about a man slapping his wife. And the whole society is saying, but it's just a slap. But then what it means to a woman's dignity, what it means to a woman's psychology, that so strongly was portrayed in this film. Or, in other films that we have seen, like Pink, which is about a no is a no. So these movements are trying to bring forward stories about women, also about women in sports, women in different arena of life. That is so important. It's interesting how in the mainstream there was a film about again a Bollywood film about a woman pilot, and she being the single woman pilot, the kind of discrimination she was faced to. Interestingly, immediately the Air Force in India came out with a big statement that no, it is not true, this doesn't happen. But you can see that it's shaken them. It's when such stories come to the front, it does something to the administration or the establishment, and they react. So this is influencing. So it was wonderful listening to your paper, and it is so encouraging to hear that the Iranian young filmmakers are coming. I think the struggle here is that we get to see or watch films that are in the mainstream, and the Western media or Bollywood, it's the business there. How do you break into there and bring more and more the alternative cinema? Or, I mean, they would label it alternative cinema. I would call it the mainstream cinema, because it's about the lives of actual real people. So we want to tell the truth, then we need to bring these cinemas not only to festivals, but we need to find ways of sharing and disseminating. And these platforms like Netflix or other platforms, they are now bringing in more of these stories. So you can watch how a woman's aspiration, her thinking, her reality is different from the way it has been portrayed. And my last word is that, we have romanticized romance too much. And this whole thing about the man in the armor, shining armor, coming to rescue, or the man in the horse, now a man with technology, whatever it is, we need to get out of that line of women don't need protection. Just don't disturb us. Don't interfere. Let us show our potentials. If you make the environment enabling, we will be able to show you what we have to offer to the world. And I hope that you will be able to continue working, even in most difficult circumstances that where you live. We have our filmmaker and actors here on the panel. They'll tell you about their achievements and their struggles. Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much.
Farah Kobir, it was very enlightening. And yes, other than the festival, some of the films you talked about, we can also watch on the streaming services like Thappad is available on Amazon, and Sony on Netflix and things like that. And we have another guest with us, Sydney Levin. She's an American film educator. Hi, Sydney. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well,
Glad to be here. I'm glad I could make it. Thank you.
yeah. What time is it in your?
It's only 9:30, 9:40 a.m.
Okay, great. So not very close to your bedtime. So
No, the opposite. I just woke up.
okay, so
No.
of course you've been to many festivals and you've worked closely with programming and things like that. What is your view on Iranian women in Iranian cinema? The topic that Elahe was talking about.
When I first started watching Iranian cinema, quite a while ago, I forget when, but a long time ago, I was always struck with the subject matter is always about women. Even when it was made by men, it struck me. And I went to the festival one year and every film was about women, whether it was prostitution or abuse of women, every single film except one. It was about a man who was blind and he was like a saint of Iran, the best man. And he went for an operation and he got his sight back. And when he returned, this wonderful woman, his wife, whom he loved dearly, didn't look like he had expected her to look. She wasn't so beautiful. And it just switched his personality. He was the one that won the prize. And I thought, this is so weird that the man film is the winner of the prize. So I've always been struck by women's strength in Iran anyway. You see it in the movies. You look at the history, you look at the ancient religion. Women were right up front. So I've always had great confidence in Iranian women. I know they have to struggle for their rights, as we all do now, because we're just not perceived as equal to men because men are running the show. But if we're given our 50% share of everything, which is our share, we'll show ourselves absolutely to be equal. I have no question. And I really do believe that the Iranian women are capable of taking the lead in this, but I also understand that the Iranian women are not the significant leaders of South Asia or Middle East. They stand on their own. They're totally unique. This was absolutely fascinating, Aleha, and I'm so happy you could give us this information. And I would love to get a list of the films and have a recommended list of what films to see.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can go through your speech, but I'm looking for it and I don't even see it written. I don't know that I've gotten the copy of it, but I think it would be a fascinating study to go through the films and look at the women's power that you mentioned. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. And I'm really happy to see you, Sydney, here.
Thank you. I'm so glad I could make
I
it.
would second Sydney on, can we have the paper and also some recommendations for movies to watch? So Elahe, if you
Sure.
want to share, or the organizers, if they share with us, it would be fantastic.
Can we have it online? Yes, we'll manage to send a copy to you.
Super. Yeah.
Yes, we will definitely. I will try to do all my best to prepare this list, and with my lovely friends in Dhaka, we will prepare it and send it to you. Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we have Choitali Shomadar with us. She'd like to say a few words about the paper.
Hi, nice to see all of you after a year. Hope you guys are doing well in your side. So, hi, and congratulations, Nobat. Thank you for your keynote presentation. I have something to share. First of all, hello everyone, and Nobat, what strikes me and motivates me a lot from your film, that is the thing is that I don't know where to look at. Look at in here is fine. It's okay, na? If I look font.
It's okay.
Good.
Yeah, look. Okay. Go ahead, Chaitali.
Okay, so the thing is that what strikes me a lot or motivate me positively from this keynote presentation is the headline that is written that we tell the truth through cinema. So truth, this is the very precious word, I would say, as an independent filmmaker, because what is truth? Truth, what is truth for me? It's a subjective thing, and what is truth for me might not be truth for other one. So and what is happening that as an independent filmmaker, when I'm telling my truth for the first time in film, and if it might not be accepted by, there might be a lot of issues in this regard. Like when I make a film, maybe I'm done with my what to say, like post production, I'm done with my first independent film with Through the Truth, and making my first film, my first post production is done with the film, and finally when I want to distribute the film as a filmmaker, so there will be a lot of problems. And I mean, lot of problems I will be facing that time. Like maybe the reason censor board, maybe the reason of the society doesn't accept the film, maybe maybe the audience is okay, but maybe there is some kind of provoking truth that is that's why the film got banned. And maybe and of course the extremists also there, like extremists are not always will not accept the truth, and they will stand furiously for this truth, and so filmmaker get attacked also sometimes. So I mean, this sort of thing we have to face when we are making our film, if I want to tell the truth. So as a consequence, what happened second, when we make the second film for this truth, with this truth, uh, after this first film, through this truth, I might not have the enough courage to make my second film, you know, like because so what I can do, I stop rather making the film, or what and I can do that I just make something which is safe, soft, or something very common issues of the film, common social issues of the film. So we can make this sort of film, or we can stop rather making the film for my second film. So when Nobakt mentioned this line that we can tell the we tell the truth through cinema, that basically give me a great shakes, like okay. And Nobakt covers the whole the keynote presentation from pre-revolution to post-revolution, and we can see and love Iranian cinema. And but yeah, there is a lot of films over in the keynote presentation that I haven't watched. As my so I what I see, what is the thing is that I will watch the film definitely, slowly, but like I have covered like I have seen Abbas Kiarostami, Asghar Farhadi, or Makmal Buff, and another are few films from festivals, but there is another lot of films over there that I haven't seen. And the film you mentioned, that present recent one, the radiography of a family, that is such a I saw the trailer, it's so good, and I have googled the synopsis, that I'm looking forward to watch this film. So if you have any kind of link, or if I have to payment, I mean online pay for this film, please do share with us. And yeah, that is the thing. And another thing I would like to share with this, that like Iran, we are also facing a lot of gender equality issues and all, and but we are also since long we are also making some film through our like making by our respected directors from. So we have few films that I want to mention the name, like Shurjo Dighol Bari, the English is The Ominous House, and Golapi Ekhon Trene, that is also a Bengali film. It's a film from long back. This and that is Endless Trail. The English name is Endless Trail. Another film is called Lal Shalu. I don't know the English. And another other film, Hangonidi Grenade, and Symphony of Agony. The Bengali is Hajar Bochor Dhore. These are the films are also these are the film are not from presence. These are from the films from from the like long back. Surya Dighal Bari is a film that is released in most probably in 1979. So you know that we are also struggling, both men and women, both filmmakers are struggling to tell our truth. Okay, so that is also happening in Bangladesh. And like you mentioned in your keynote presentation, there is a like you guys, your country has a film graduates that we also these days presently we have also film school in Bangladesh, couple of film school, and we are getting female students over there. And again, presently we have some producer and filmmakers, even young filmmakers who are women, and their films are also screening in few good film festivals, international film festivals. And we have also some kind of some few filmmakers whose films are they are pitching their film to international co-producing market, right? International co-producing market. So we are not, maybe we are, of course we are not as accomplished as Iran, but we are working. Okay, we are hopeful. And I want to finish with my talk that like we are getting some filmmakers, respect of men and women who are telling the truth, I hope. And my best wishes to all the independent filmmakers from all the corner of the world, who can tell the truth through cinema, because it's very tough. So after one film, if it's not like if you can reach the film through the audience, so it's tough to go with second film. So my best wishes to all the independent filmmakers who are making the true film with full of conviction. And thank you, Nobakht, again, because of your inspiring, rather empowering presentation. And thank you, Dhaka International Film Festival. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, can I say something? Can I say something about our friend and what she said and what she'd ask? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we all.
Thank you so much. You really indicate and talked about an important issue about, because we all have the common issue. That no matter in which part of the world we are living, but we all, as the filmmakers and producers and from film industry, we want to tell the truth. But how it can be happen? I believe when we want to tell the truth, and not only the government, but maybe there would be some relatives, family, society. That there would be some people who don't want to hear the truth or who are against the truth. So it doesn't matter if we are going to make a documentary or fiction films, but basically when we have a concern about a real topic, about a real issue in our society, in our generation, definitely we have to struggle. And as long as I know, and as I just explained in my article, I just wanted to show and to name of the Iranian women director who, only because for making their films, how they struggled. How they had some, I don't want to say argument, but they had great big problems to just make their films without any support. So, and it can happen also for men. I don't want it to say that only women are the people who had this kind of struggle. But it's very important when we want to tell the truth. So maybe there are some people who don't want to hear that, who don't want to hear the reality. Okay, not only government, society, and people. So it's very difficult to have support. So it seems that we should work independently. And how it's difficult to work independently and can survive in the cinema, because the audiences, they like the film. But when you want to make your film, you don't have any support. So it's a very difficult, that struggle. For example, I know Puran Darakhshande, one of the Iranian women director who I told in my article, it has been 5 years she's trying to make her new film. As I told you, she was the first women filmmaker after the revolution, Iranian revolution. But we are working together, and I can understand how she's suffering from the very, very complicated situation. And as you said about mainstream cinema, you know, if in Iran, if you want to work on mainstream cinema, we have everything. We have financial, we have supporter, we have support from government, because the mainstream, it brings much more money for them. So they are all ready to be involved. So I just wanted to talk about the independency, about when you want to tell the truth, especially in documentary films. It's a very, very difficult time, no matter for men or women, but women, because of their limitations, they have more difficulties. And generally, I hope that we all can say our concern, our ambitions, our goals in our society, because these topics are more touchable for the audiences, not only our audiences, but also the international audiences. And in this case, we can share our ideas, our concern, our ambitions, our difficult times with other friends and audiences in the world. I know how it's difficult, but it can happen. We all have the same situation and problematic. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thanks, Shwetali, for bringing this up. Yes, everyone's truth is subjective. So to tell our truth, we need women filmmakers and women writers and to tell our truth on screen. So we have another speaker with us, Borna Mirza. She is an actor we've been seeing for decades and decades, and she still looks like the same or maybe younger. And she has a great background, a solid background in theater as well. We want to hear your perspective on this topic. Borna, take over.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sadia. And of course, Novak. Many thanks to Elahi Novak for writing such a very, very keynote. This writing is very political and has moved me politically, because the political expressions of Bangladeshi women filmmakers are mostly very different. Women filmmakers in Bangladesh also work through various adversities. It can be women filmmakers. It can be understood easily in a male-dominant atmosphere. But despite that, the politics of their movies mostly roam around the war of liberation of Bangladesh. Apart from this, understanding of gender, class, and ethnicities is rarely seen. Iranian women filmmakers are presenting political position of various dimensions and layers through their movies. They have been doing that for many years, and Novak remind us to that. The educated people of Bangladesh, especially the cinema-loving people, have a high opinion of Iranian cinema lately, but they have never paid much attention to the exploitation, deprivation, struggle of Iranian society in general and Iranian women in particular that Novak has presented. Or their vision is limited to aesthetics, which is a serious crisis of art and culture in Bangladesh. That is namely the crisis of aesthetic pride. Novak has very clearly portrayed the struggle of women in movies, how they are building their positions, how they are fighting to maintain the positions, what is the nature of their constant struggle. These are all highlighted in some precise but clear words. The four features and stages that she described in the context of the representation of women in Iranian cinema should also be very clear to us. We can relate these faces or stages even from a distance. For the filmmakers of Bangladesh, for the women filmmakers, and for the activists of the women's movement, this keynote has done an eye-opening job. While I was reading Eli's essay, I again thought about the importance of documentaries and about why there are not many documentaries in Bangladesh, especially by the women makers. Not that I think the documentary is more intelligent product. However, I consider the importance of the documentary in understanding the political situation, especially the gender political reality. That gender is absolutely inadequate among women filmmakers in Bangladesh. Makers like Shamim Akhtar, Yasmin Kabir, Samia Zaman, Fauzia Khan started the documentary a long time ago. But the exercise did not spread much. But now again, Shabnam Ferdowsi, Humaira Bilkis, Tahmima Mou, and Chaitali is here. Like people like them are working. I'm sure that the financial management of fiction and documentary films are of course different. But I hope to see more expansion in the documentary sector. More so after listening to the discussion of Iranian films. Bangladeshi filmmakers and film lovers, intellectuals were not consistent in looking at Iranian films. I think they took a very long time to understand the importance of Iranian cinema and later looked at it only when it appeared with global recognition. Still, I do not think that we have the historical and political understanding to unpack exactly what kind of struggling history of secularist and progressive of Iran have, or what kind of struggle history the women of Iran have. In fact, I don't think Bangladeshi intelligentsia has done carefully homework for understanding the elements of the 1979 Iranian revolution itself. Had they done, they could see that the revelation of 79 was not just for men or for Islamists. Rather, the results of the revelation have been lost. It was seized afterward. Today's Iranian films, therefore, are the results of Iran unresolved revelation. Novak essay raised us to those questions, not only of situation of Iranian women, but those of Bangladeshi women too. From this side, from my side, this is all. And thank you, everyone. Farah Appa is here, Choitali and Sydney. Of course, Shamim Appa. Looking forward to a lot more from Shamim Appa. And thank you, Dhaka Film Festival, for inviting me in this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonapo. And to wrap up this session, I would like to call Shamim Apu. Shamim Akhtar, she's a veteran director. She has many works that we're familiar with. And I want to mention one work of hers that I'm absolutely in love with. She has this short film she co-directed with Tariq Masood. That's called Shay. It's on YouTube. Please check it out. It's a amazing work. And Shamim Apu, thank you so much for gifting us with this work. And please wrap it.
Good afternoon from this part of the world. All of you here, well, so good to see Novak and Farah and Bunna, and of course, my Sydney. Well, it's so good to see you, Sydney. So time had destined us to be separate, each in our, they had wanted it to be very separate, very, the social distance and distancing had been mentioned over and over again. But somehow I get the feeling that we are all somehow um, come closer. It seems that we are all, the more they try to divide us, the more we come together. Thanks to the festival for having given us the opportunity to be here and discuss women in film. Look, as always, Iranian films somehow supersede um, the wishes of women. Huh. And somehow they reflect the societal antagonism on which they stand, and they try to address or somehow define what's happening there. And that is the beauty of the makers of Iran, that they somehow try to, despite all the restrictions and all that, they try to somehow send us that message that nothing is lost. You have to fight. You have to fight for your space. That is always somehow, that has always, I would say, that revived all our spirit to be free and to go about. Because, as always, in every society, women makers, I would say, that they face the restrictions, especially when they try to speak the truth. Through independent initiatives, they have at least tried to address these differently and find a space for themselves in, I would say, very closed door, screening and all, and or gathering of exclusive nature, which they have tried to speak the truth. But somehow we have certain restrictions because whether we try to be egalitarian, still it's a male dominated society and it's a patriarchal society. Though men have tried to address, come and understand the women's problem because you can see a shift in their narratives. Recently, we see all over the world, men have changed their narratives, in the sense that whatever the stories that are taken up or the themes that they um, somehow address or they choose, those are women centric in nature. As we get to see, just we were talking about, Farah was mentioned, Thapar and others. Huh? The men have been um, bringing into light these stories somehow because many, I would say that we have told many stories. We have come a long way. Like in all these 100 years of cinema, we have talked about all our films and all from all over the world, and there are many voices here. But the competition is on. So somehow, the instead of losing the inspiration, we are men have reverted to this taking up women-centric themes. And here the women still stand defiantly because when they address the problems, that comes from deep within. Just as Choitali was trying to say that what exactly is the truth? What truth is to me may not be the same elsewhere. But then there is a universal truth of exploitation, of discrimination, and also suffering. And that probably unite all of us. And that's why we understand the other films which from other countries. And when they talk about this, the pain is also mine. From whichever society they're talking from or uh, addressing it from. And it's very quickly we all understand. And film is such a powerful medium that, men also they are also swayed by it. And we have found that there's a shift in their thought pattern too, all over. I think this is one positive aspect that film has posed so far, is that somehow lessening the threat, lessening, or I would say that somehow, but through addressing the problems, men have also joined in to look at the problem differently. Not that they understand it fully, I get the feeling, but somehow they try to address it, and with sincerity. Because, and as always, women started late in everything, but they are also exceeding in many spheres. But definitely in films, they had superseded in telling their own stories. I'm trying to say this, that, no matter what, whoever comes to tell that story, it's when women tell their own story, it's much more, I would say, authentic, like they are speaking differently. It seems that in the whole topic and the stories and everything, the narrative altogether is very different. The perspective is different. And that is what we had been, I think Nobak was trying to address, that we have come along, I mean, the narratives have shifted because of our presence, of the presence of women in this sphere. But definitely nothing, the society goes on. The concept of power is there. And if we look at it, definitely that hasn't changed much. And many a times I've asked myself whether we have placed ourselves in order to compete in this, the making of films in this sphere, have we also resorted to the women? This is a question that I pose to myself also, that have we been addressing, I mean, had the, even though it's a voice of woman, but I mean, I may say it from a women's perspective, but are we addressing the women's problem as such? We are class divided. We are divided by many things like the education and everything, and each, and the societal norms dominate us still. But still, I think women who are trying to, I mean, who are facing one another, I mean, or through these, we are coming together through the festivals, and now definitely we are much more, I think, I would say that open to a lot of things. Like we are voicing our problems. We're trying to address it, not that we have reached it, not that we have changed the society as such, not that we have empowered ourselves to that extent, but definitely we're thinking. And that the ball has started rolling, and that is a positive development, I get the feeling. And through these festivals, we come together, all of us, and given the opportunity, we talk about it openly in platforms, which are, I would say, all of us from now that we have this online coming together. So we are trying to define our problems, we're trying to discuss it, say it, and definitely that will have a new repercussion, and we'll definitely try to overcome these problems as, I mean, facing a new world altogether. I don't know what the situation would be, but definitely it should have a very, very positive outcome. I get the feeling, because it's like, we got a big chance to think about ourselves through this lockdown. That's one positive thing, and and we have all come together. And I think that is what I was trying to say, that definitely it's thanks to the organizers here, and thanks to all of you being present. It's nice to see you all. Stay well. Love you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your nice speeches. So we'll take a half an hour break now and come back for the next session, for the last session of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank
Thanks, Elahe.
Bye.
Thanks, Sydney.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Sydney. Thank you, Farah. Thank you, Banana. Thank you
Hi,
so much.
Sydney. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Been great to hear Al.
আপনার দেখে ভালো লাগলো, ভালো থেকো।
জি ফারাপ্পা ভালো থাকবেন জি সাংকুন জি
You can also join us after half an hour.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will.
Sure, thank you.
okay thank you
Yeah, you can
Sadia
also
thank you
live on Facebook after half an hour.
okay Sadia thank you Novak bye
Thank you.
Sydney
Bye bye.
see you again yeah okay bye bye